Vinny Appice, welcome to the Drum Syndicate podcast. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm Bill. This is Marcos over here. And
Hey, nice to meet you guys.
yeah, and we actually met back in probably the mid 90s. You came to a music store in Garden Grove, California called Moody Music. And you did a clinic, and then you and Carmine did the drum wars there.
Didn't wasn't that earlier than that?
It could have been.
Wasn't it in the 80s?
No, I think this was definitely the 90s, mid 90s.
Oh, okay.
Because
Okay.
the owner was like putting out a lot of money to get high quality people to come in and do clinics and all sorts of things. And it was great. I got to talk to you for a while, and I remember you were warming up in the back room, and I said, "Dude, what's that thing on your finger?" And you're like, "Well, don't play this grip sideways." And yeah, I always remembered that. That was great.
Yeah, I don't play sideways anymore.
Yeah, but that grip is so awesome. I actually have like about 40 students, and I have a 77-year-old student that she's having trouble holding on to the sticks. And I said, you know what? Try this. I call this the Appice grip, and put it in here, and she did it, and it was faster, it was stronger, and all of a sudden she could play louder. And I said, well, there you go.
Oh, good. Yeah, I just find that it was because you're holding the stick in between,
Right,
and it starts. Well, you play hard, it starts to not good on your bones.
right,
Your
right.
finger starts to bend over a little bit. So, but
But man,
that's good. I'm glad it worked for somebody.
yeah, I mean, finger work, that is just
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, for fingers, it's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the drummer from NRBQ. Are you familiar with that band? He used to play with that group.
Oh, really? No, I'm not. I heard of them, but I'm not
Yeah,
familiar with the band actually.
and yeah. So this in the '80s, you asked if that uh, in-store appearance might have been in the '80s. I think you might be talking about the one that I saw, which was outside, and it was in Garden Grove. Um, yeah, you were playing some pretty much. I'm pretty sure you were playing some Dio stuff uh, with the guitar
Mm.
player.
Oh,
That
really?
ring a bell?
Hmm. No, I did the first clinic I ever did. I think was in Garden. I'm mixing it up, but probably near Garden Grove, but it was inside, and it was called Maybe it was Buena Vista Music. I don't know, but I
Hmm.
still remember it because it was my first one. There were like 300 people in there, and I'm in the middle of it, and I'm thinking, "Wow, where's the band?" There's no band. It's just me. It's been nerve-wracking. First one.
You know what I loved about your clinic is you gave everyone a brochure that might have been like 6 or 7 pages long with all these exercises on it. And it
Oh, I
gave
did.
us something to go home and work on. It just wasn't like, this guy's great, watch him play, ask him questions. He was like, here, this is what I do, check it out.
Cool. Yeah, I don't quite remember because that was a long time ago. It was probably
Yeah.
84 or 83. I don't know. Maybe 85. But that's good. Yeah. So you can go home and actually see what I was explaining and playing. So good way to learn.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, when I'm looking at your list of credits, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, John Lennon, 3 albums with Derringer, Axis, 5 albums with Sabbath, 8 studio albums with Dio, 3 with Heaven and Hell, 3 albums with Kill Devil Hill, 2 albums with Last in Line, an album with your brother. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You've had such a great prolific career.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I kept busy.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to keep busy. You got to push into business. You can't be sitting on your ass. And that's one of the reasons why I could still play with stamina and finesse because I never stopped.
Right.
Some people, they go, well, I stopped playing for 4 years and 5 years. I'm going to get back into it. And that's hard.
Oh yeah.
Your
Yeah, all the
body,
muscles we use. Sure.
physically, it's hard, especially for
Yeah.
drums.
Yeah.
So,
Did you get a lot
and
of
drink water.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And did you get a lot of those gigs through word of mouth? Like just magical
Well,
synchronicity?
Well, being in the right place, the right time. The John Lennon thing happened because my band the guitar player, knew Jimmy Iovine, who was the big producer and Beats Audio owner and Interscope Records. And Jimmy was a guy from Brooklyn, and we um, got to know him. And he really liked the band. I had a 9-piece band with 4 horn players, and I didn't put the band together. Actually, the guitar player did, Joey, and he knew Jimmy. And Jimmy brought us to the record plant to do some demos, and we did a bunch of demos. And the record plant signed us to a management deal, and that gave us a room up on the 10th floor on 44th Street, the record plant studios address in Manhattan. And then, so we were up there rehearsing all the time because we didn't have to pay for it. It was like a godsend. And one night, Jimmy Iovine called and go, "Can you guys come downstairs and do some hand claps for us?" Sure. So we go down there, we walk in, and we look, and there's John Lennon. We go, wow.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like 16 and a half years old, 17. I go, wow, fucking John Lennon. So we go into the studio and we put the headphones on. There was 9 of us, which was perfect for hand claps. And then he starts talking to us, and I'm like, he's talking to us. The headphones on.
Right.
And he wanted hand claps for the song, Whatever Gets You Through the Night. So that's me and my band on that song. And then we talked to him a little bit afterward, and we told him we're upstairs, we rehearse, and got the horns and everything. So a couple nights later, he came up and watched us play, and he really liked us, and he liked the band. And we weren't a fanboy to him, so he felt safe being around us. And we didn't go, which I wish we would have, take a picture with John. Hey, can we take a picture?
Right.
Can you sign this? I didn't do any of that. We were just cool about it. And so he used to hang out with us all the time. And I smoked a couple joints with him. We played pool. And he walks in, we're rehearsing. I'm like, holy shit. Wow. So, and then we wound up doing 3 videos with him. And we did, he produced the owner of the record plant's wife. He was a singer, Laurie Burton. He produced 8 songs, and we were the band. So we worked with him as a producer as well. And then he asked us to do a live gig. We did a live gig at the New York Hilton Hotel in New York City, a black tie affair. And we played 3 songs: Imagine, Slipping, Slipping and Sliding, and Stand By Me. And later on, I would find out that that was his last live appearance. And I'm like, what? I played his last live appearance. Kid from Brooklyn who quit school.
Right. And what was going through your mind before you went on stage thinking, I'm doing a gig with John Lennon?
Well, that did, but I'm also thinking, okay, we've got to make sure this is really kicks ass, and just thinking of everything that we need to make sure we could hear it. We played to the track, so it was easier for the crew, ABC, whatever, the channel ABC, channel 7. And so this thing was shown all over the world, and I was freaking out. Then afterward, we celebrated, went up to the rooms. They gave us a couple of rooms at the Hilton, had some champagne, smoked some pot. Like, wow, that was cool.
Is there
There was
video?
talk. There was talk that he wanted to use my band, as his backup band. So, but that never happened. So he was thinking about it.
Were you a huge Beatles fan?
Back then, I was a Beatle fan, but I'm more of a Beatle fan now, so I appreciate it more. After making all these records and stuff, you listen to the Beatles, the production, the playing, the songs, you go, totally amazing. Never happened again in the music industry.
Yeah.
So, but of course, I was a Beatles fan.
Do you think there's video of that last
Oh yeah,
you did? It's on YouTube.
it's called John Lennon Salute to Sir Lou Grade, Lew, Lou Grade. And he was an entertainment mongrel, big millionaire guy in England. John didn't like him. And so that's what the show's called. But
And
John Lennon's salute to that guy, Lou Grade.
and you're wearing a tux? Or
No, John actually didn't like him, so he thought he was two-faced. So John's idea was, we're going to go get masks made of your face, put it on the back of your head, so you're two-faced. And
oh
then
my God, that's
and we went to get that done, and John went with us in the van. He didn't do it, just we wore the mask. But we hung out with him enough to go in the van and go get this mask made. They put, wax, rubber kind of thing on your face. And
crazy.
then he wanted us to wear these crazy black, shiny jumpsuits, and he wore a red one. And the same thing, we went the next week and got fitted for all these jumpsuits. And with him, like, it's the guy from the neighborhood.
Mhm.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I wanted to bring up the band Axis. Not a lot of people know about that group. It's a great album.
Thanks.
And I mean, the drums sound great. It was produced, engineered by Andy Johns. Is that right?
Andy Johns, that's why the drums, everything sounds great, especially drums. Is
Yeah. Yeah.
Andy
So,
Johns is the man. Yeah.
yeah, right. But for that record, were you using Paiste cymbals? They sound like Paistes to me.
No, I never used Paiste.
Never.
Mm.
I'd look at them and they'd break.
Yeah.
Probably Zildjian. Sabian wasn't around that. And Axis started uh, right after the Lennon thing. Carmine was producing a band in L.A. with Jimmy Haslip and Phil Brown on guitar, Jimmy Haslip on bass from the Yellow Jackets. And he said, this would be a good thing. Check it out. Why don't you come out to California? So I came out to California, played together with those guys. It was a good band. And I met a girl that told me about this hard rock trio called Axis in Shreveport, Louisiana. Okay. So eventually this band wasn't working out. I flew back to New York, and then I called Danny Johnson, who's in Axis, and then later on with Steppenwolf a long time, and even played with Carmine and Rod Stewart. So I flew down to Shreveport. Those were the days when you could bring a lot of your drum set on the drums and check it, the baggage for free,
Mhm.
all the cases and stuff. I went down and played with Axis. It was good. We got along good. It was fun for me. I was really young. Yeah, I was like 17. And they had gigs lined up. We did the gigs. And then I got a call from Rick Derringer from the record plant. That's the good thing about being in the right place at the right time. He heard the demos we did with Jimmy Iovine with my band. And he called me and said, look, I'm putting the band. Oh, actually, at the record plant back then, he told me I'm putting the band together in about 6, 8 months. He loves you to play in the band, because he heard the recordings. So he did call, and I told him I was in Shreveport, Louisiana with a trio band, kicks ass. Why don't you come down and check it out? So he said, okay. So Rick Derringer's coming to Shreveport. We're all going, wow, Rick Derringer's coming to Shreveport. So it's very local. He came down, checked the band out. He liked me and Danny. He liked Jay too, the bass player, but he didn't go for Jay. He had Kenny Aronson in mind. And that's how we put Derringer together. And then the Derringer thing, we did one album, then we did another album and a live album. And after that band, me and Danny left to put Axis back together. We thought, shit, let's do it while we're young. And we put it together, and we got a record deal on RCA. And we did one album. We got Andy Johns to produce it, but we didn't have a manager. We didn't have a lot of money behind it. So it kind of fizzled, wasn't happening. And then from there, got a call from actually Ozzy Osbourne, Sharon Osbourne. And she called and said, we're putting a new band together with Ozzy, and we heard about you. We'd like to fly you to England, go hang out with Ozzy. And oh, wow, okay. So I asked my brother Carmine, because he toured with Sabbath back in the 70s. I said, is Ozzy crazy? Is he nuts as he seems? And Carmine said, yo, yeah, pretty nuts. So I actually didn't do it. I turned it down. I thought, I don't know, I'm going, where's England? I never been out of the country. So I didn't do it. And then about a month later, I get a call from Black Sabbath, and they're in LA, Los Angeles. And They were in the middle of a tour and they're looking for a drummer. Bill Ward left. So it was easy to do because I went to meet Tony Iommi at the hotel, just drove there, and we hit it off really good. Next day, came down to rehearsal, met Ronnie and Geezer and Jeff Nichols, keyboard player. So one thing led to another, and it's a pretty good year when you get a call from Ozzy and then you get a call from Black Sabbath.
Yeah. Like you were just determined or destined to be in that group of people. You know, it just
Yeah.
wouldn't happen no matter what.
Yeah, and I fit musically, I fit. Went in with eyes and ears open. How do these guys play? And I know they play behind the beat. They play. Tony Iommi's very steady, very heavy. So I adapted to that more. And because the band with the horn players was more of a rock funk band, you know. But I listened to everything. The music I listened to was Zeppelin and some Sabbath and Hendrix. So it was easy for me to apply all that stuff into Sabbath.
When you started your studio work, there was no click tracks, right? And that eventually happened later.
Yeah, we never used the click. Um, you know, back then it was analog recording. I think they had a click on they can pump through the board, but we didn't really need it. You know, back in the day when I was doing the John Lennon thing, we went into the studio to record demos, and they said I was rushing a little bit. Jimmy said that. I went, whoa, really? Okay, because I was pretty good by then. I've been to lessons and I had some, good style, good licks. And then I didn't realize, oh, steady. Okay. So they used to set up a light metronome, which
Oh,
flashes,
yeah,
boom, boom. That's hard to play to.
it
Easy
is.
to play to a click, but a light is like, what if you blink?
Right. Yeah.
So that got me focused on playing steady and all that stuff. And then I got a metronome, practiced to it a little bit, listened to it when I'm not playing. And then I wind up with Sabbath, and Tony's just a monster, riffs laid back and right in the pocket, a little behind the beat. So we didn't use any clicks. We didn't use any clicks the whole career of Sabbath and Dio and
Oh,
Last in Line.
wow.
I'm really focused on the way recordings sound. You had a ride cymbal that was perfect for Dio and Sabbath because it had great stick definition, but also the right amount of wash.
Right.
What was that? What is that ride cymbal?
Um, it was probably in Sabbath, it might have been a 20-inch or 21-inch medium ride, Zildjian. And back later on with Dio, it was probably 20-inch medium ride. But see, I play with the butt end of the sticks.
Okay.
So, because I always figured out that the tip end for the sticks is for girls.
Yeah.
Only kidding, girls.
Yeah.
But I play with the butt end and I know how to hit it so it's not splashing too much because that's a lot of wood hitting the cymbal. And if you look at my drums, like back here, um, all the toms, I'm playing hard with the butt end, but there's no dents.
Mm.
So I know how to bounce off of it, but you can play hard without destroying the drum head when you know what you're doing. So you got to figure I'm hitting those ride cymbals with the butt end of the stick on the edge, controlling it. Plus, I always keep the ride cymbal tight, not tight, but tight, and it moves a little bit. So I don't like ride cymbals that are going like this.
Mm-hmm.
That gets in the way. So,
Okay.
so that could be it too.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're known as a great single bass drum player, but did you dabble ever with double bass and just try it out and see if you were going to go that way?
Yeah, I did. At one point, I got double bass. I tried it, and then my brother started using double bass before that, and that's why I tried it. But he was so good at that point. He's 11 years older than I am, by the way. So he was so good at it, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to stay with one bass drum. I don't like it that much right now with the double bass. And I listened to a lot of Bonham, a lot of Buddy Rich, Mitch Mitchell. Everybody was single bass drum. So I didn't get it. I didn't do it.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, so you just mentioned those three guys. I'm curious as to who else you like? What other drummers do you like?
Well, my brother, of course, Ian Pace,
Mhm.
and those are the guys I listened to growing up. I didn't listen to Neil Peart. I didn't until later. Now, I hear stuff Neil played. It's amazing. Those are pretty much the guys I listen to. I listened to a band called Blue Cheer, real heavy, loud band, and like that. But that wasn't much drums on there. The Mitch Mitchell, Buddy Rich, John Bonham, my brother, Ian Pace, they all played the songs with drum licks in the songs. So you'd be listening, and then there's a fill that goes by. You go, "Whoa, that's cool. What was that?" Keep playing it. Back then with the needle, put it back on, slow it down, and I call those guys, more of a lead drummers. They don't just play the verses and the choruses. So that's the way I grew up, and that's probably shows in Axis album, and then later on Holy Diver, or the Mob Rules too. Mob Rules album, I had to stay in the house of Sabbath. I couldn't go too crazy. You know, uh, I had to stay within that realm of that sound of Black Sabbath. So Mob Rules is kind of combination of right in the middle. There's some licks on there. There's some aggression, but yet it's laid back and heavy and solid. Holy Diver, it's free reign. I felt a lot of things as we played those songs, and it's inspiring. I didn't sit there and go, "Oh, I need to put a lick in this thing and play a riff in that thing." It just came out. That's the way I play with these, and I hear them in different unusual places. Some of the fills, I just hear it that way. I'll start in the middle of the bar, maybe make it a bar and a half fill or 2 bars, and just do crazy stuff. But it's what I feel. It comes from within.
Awesome. You played single-headed toms for a long time. When did you actually switch, and why did you switch?
Yeah, I like the concert toms, the punch that they had, and we used them in the studio. I think on Holy Diver we did, but back before that, uh, Derringer. No, those were concert toms as well. But in the studios, I bought a set of 13, 14, 15, 16. I had double-headed toms that I actually bought in New York City, and those were for the studio. So they had more of a rounder tone, a longer lasting note. And we used to bring those in, and then we did the albums like that. And then live, I went back to the concert toms. Then later on, I started liking the sound of the double heads. They were just for the fact that they had more tone to them. And then I just switched over and started using those live. You know.
Yeah, so uh, do you have any preference to different microphones when recording, or mic preamps, or do you just kind of leave that up to the engineers?
I leave that up to the engineers. Luckily, the guy for the early part of my career was the engineer was Angelo Arcuri, and he started out as my drum tech in Sabbath. Um, he did a little bit with Access too, but then with Sabbath, he was my drum tech. Then he wound up being promoted to sound guy for Sabbath, and he had a great ears, and it's a great mixer. So when it came to Dio, the same thing happened. Angelo was our sound guy out front, and we always got so many compliments when he did the sound. And then when we started working on Holy Diver, he was with us, and he just hung out and did the stuff he needed to do. And then we went in the studio. He was the engineer, and Ronnie produced it. and it all worked out great. So Angelo was with me for 3 albums, 4 albums with Dio. So he knew what he was doing. And when we listened to it, it's like, well, let's get some more bottom end on the kick drum. And we're all on the same page, Ronnie and then myself, and then Angelo. And Sabbath album, Mob Rules, was Martin Birch, who got a big fat sound. And then here I recorded in this room. There's my stuff back there.
Oh, cool.
There's mics all over the place. But I really don't know what I'm doing, but it sounds fucking great. When I hear it back, it's just got to kick me in the ass. No matter how I'm doing it, got 2 room mics, I got 2 overheads there, and then everything's mic'd up. I got a weird mic in the corner. I had a bathroom on the other side. I would put a mic in there, and I know what I want to sound like. See, that's the trick with recording and live, is knowing what you want to sound like. Because I can hop on a kit and tune it a little bit. It's going to sound probably like me, the way I hit it, the way I tune it. So, and I hit all rim shots. I don't hit in the middle of it.
Okay, right. Yeah, Marcos.
On the snare, it's all rim shots.
Yeah. Marcos was going to ask you that exact question.
Mm-hmm.
And we interviewed Simon Kirke a couple weeks ago, and he said he just goes for the dead center. And we're like, what? What? We thought you were hitting rim shots all the time. So
that's funny. I'm doing a rock fantasy camp with Simon in a couple of weeks in New York City.
Super nice.
I met him, a couple of times. What a great guy.
Yeah.
And I know I'm all rim shots, man. I'm like, boom, pow, it's all rim shots. Only if it's some subtle little part will I go to the middle of the drum. On the toms, I'm hitting in the middle.
Right.
Because the toms are angled in the floor. I don't hit rim shots with the toms. But the snare just cracks that way.
How long do you stay with one stick before it starts to explode right there in the middle?
Well, I like the used sticks. Like if I go back and play, I'll look for the most used sticks because they feel worn. They feel broken in.
Right.
Especially live. If I want to start off, I'd like to pick a pair that had been used. And then when they start to get really chewed up because I'm hitting the rim, then I have to go to another stick.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. Now listening is so important. And you played with such great guitar players. When you're playing, are you focusing, like you always hear, listen to the bass player, but do you also, mix in guitar and bass at the same time and you're listening while you're playing, or how do you do that?
Yeah, well, live, I scan the stage, and I listen to the bass, I listen to the guitar. If there's something that I can pick up on, and I like to lead the band in different places too. Like if I hear something coming, I'll change the feel for a couple of bars or something. It keeps the band on the toes too. And a lot of times if I get up and play with a band, you'll see that people turn around and they're watching me, and I kind of get their attention and I control it. That's what the drummer should do anyway. Drummers, unless you're sitting back, they're going beep, beep, tap, 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 tap. No, what the fuck is that? Nothing going on. So that's what I do. And then in the studio, same thing. Listen to it, and we'll listen to it and go, you know what? You're going to play that bass line. I'll play it with you, take it again, and then the guitar as well. But I try to go with what the song feels like painting a picture. This song is this kind of colors in the song, and try to fit it in from what I hear is that the mood of the song. I'm not on drugs.
Yeah. That's a plus.
So the early Dio recordings, very raw sounding, the drums are just sort of raw and hard and in your face. As the 80s progressed and the hair bands started to gain popularity, a lot of recordings were done with this gated reverb. You guys never bought into that, and I'm glad. You know what I mean? You guys avoided that
That's because I knew
sound.
I knew how to tune the drums.
Okay. Yeah.
The gated, we had one of those gated reverbs. I remember it's a red thing, and like R2D2 would come in the studio. Wow, that's the gated reverb. Wow. But see, I played a lot busier than most. So the gated reverb
Mm.
and the faster fills or busy fills got in the way. They didn't match so good. We might have used it a little bit, you know. But what we did on Holy Diver was we recorded at Sound City Studios, where Dave Grohl made the movie about that place, and we were there way before that. And it's a big giant room, and the drums are a little bit dead. So we went, let's go build a wooden room around this, you know. So we all went to Home Depot and Ronnie, and we bought about 10 sheets of plywood, right? We had a truck, brought the wood in, we put 2 sheets on the floor, and we made a hut with a roof and everything. And then Angelo mic'd all the drums inside that hut, room, the overheads. So it sounded great when you hit the drums. It's bouncing off the wood, really warm sound going into all the mics. And then there might have been two mics out of the room for room, really distant miking. And that's what we did on the first two Dio records, you know. And we just stayed away from the hairband stuff. I mean, it's good if you're playing simple, but I didn't play simple, so it kind of didn't work for me, you know.
Yeah, that gated reverb would have muddied up some of those,
Yeah,
those busy fills that you were doing.
you're doing with the gated reverb. It's gonna sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't imagine how loud it was inside that enclosure because when I set up your drums at Moody Music, you sat down and we were in a pretty small room. You hit the bass drum and I could feel the air go out of the room. I just was like, oh my God, it was so
Yeah.
loud. And I
Well,
can't imagine in that room how loud that was.
yeah, it was loud, but I like it loud. See, I don't muffle the drums either. You know, I don't muffle anything. The bass drum, this bass drum here, uh, see, there's a woofer mic there, and then there's a hole with a flat mic in it, and a tiny little towel to hold that flat mic. So it's not really muffled. There's no muffling. There's no pillows. I wouldn't be caught dead with a pillow and a blanket in there.
You're saying that bass drum is not muffled at all.
Nope.
Just
There's a
just the little whatever the towel or whatever that's got the flat mic on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Check it out. This is a first ever, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get it on here first. Hang on. Can't really see in there. There's nothing in there.
Mm.
There's that little towel.
I'm digging the bass drum head. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's my new thing I'm doing now, Sabbath nights. I got a great band, and we got some dates coming up this weekend and next weekend.